everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Shattered Glass Commander Class Jetfire, and surprise surprise, the figure has actually turned out great. Jetfire in my opinion is one of, if not the best, War for Cybertron figure that we've gotten across the entire trilogy. I just think the attention to detail that Hasbro packed into this guy was definitely borderline masterpiece, and if they were to perhaps have engineered some die-cast into him, then he essentially would have been a masterpiece. This is by far one of the best mass-produced figures that we've ever gotten, and this time done in a black and purple colour scheme. Honestly, it's just literally candy to the eyes. Now, for those of you who own the original Commander figure, you guys will know exactly what to expect with this one. He comes with all of the same bells and whistles, so sadly, unlike some of the other Shattered Glass figures, we don't get a brand new head sculpt, we don't get any new weapons that we haven't already previously seen, but actually getting him in hand, to be fair, I don't really have that much of a critique with it. I think that what we get is more than enough, and the colour scheme, honestly, is fantastic. It may, in fact, actually be a rival for the original release, and that was something that I was not expecting to say, but enough gushing about the figure. Let's, of course, bring him in here and take a closer look at the details. You can see in regards to the sculpt as well as paintwork for the head, I think this has turned out fantastic. You can see a really nice variety of silver, red, black, and of course green there for the crest, and not to mention some purple highlights as well. The metallic purple they've used on him looks fantastic. As we just turn the head here to the side, you can see some nice silver detailing, and even as we turn to the back of Jetfire, you can see they've completely sculpted as well as in fact actually cast this section here out of transparent green plastic, and the piece that actually sticks from behind the head has been sculpted and painted super nicely. One thing that you'll actually be able to appreciate here with this Shattered Glass version is that considering we're dealing with more darker colours, you really are able to appreciate some of the details that may have perhaps been washed out on that original version. Even here towards the top of the shoulders, the sculpt work is honestly just so mesmerising, super impressive. As we turn our attention down to the torso region, you can see the Autobot insignia, which much like the original version is in fact optional, so if you do push this here, of course you can swap this around in order to turn Jetfire from a menacing Autobot into a heroic Decepticon, and this has been picked out with a super nice red paint, but considering the chest piece has the Autobot insignia on, we shall leave that there. For the duration of the review, you can see some really nice metallic purple highlights scattered here throughout the chest unit. A really awesome lime green transparent plastic used for the cockpit, very reminiscent to what we actually saw with Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. You can see the attention to detail going on here for the shoulders, as well as this almost multi-layered look that we've got going on here for the top. Really does look splendid. The sculpt work is just super impressive with this guy. Of course, here for the hands, I have decided to leave them open. You can see some super nice looking sculpt work going on for the palm, as well as here for the back. And then as we just spin our attention down to the lower section of the figure, once again, the sculpt work is just super nice all the way throughout the thighs, as well as down here to the shins. You can see some nice metallic silver here for the shin piece. And then as we take a look here towards the foot, this too has also been completely sculpted as well as painted, and it doesn't end there. As we flip here to the back of Jetfire, this is in fact actually painted better than the original version. So we've got these really nice lime highlights scattered throughout the centre, as well as some nice metallic silver, as well as this gunmetal paint that we've got going on for the back, all of which looks awesome. And you can once again see some lovely looking sculpt work going on for the back of the wings. They have in fact tried their best to make the hollow components look as nice as possible, and I really think that it works. You can see here we've got the thrusters looking fantastic, and of course as we take a look here towards the back of the legs, these have been this time completely picked out in a super awesome metallic gunmetal. So overall, in regards to sculpt as well as attention to detail, I think Jetfire is absolutely fantastic, and as mentioned beforehand, this time done in the black and purple, honestly it's literally just a masterpiece in my opinion. Now, getting down to articulation, the head can of course look left to right, of course it can also look up and down to a pretty decent degree. That is pretty awesome. We do get ratchet joints at the shoulders which can rotate the full 360, although are slightly hindered due to the nature of the design. We get ratchet joints here out to the sides which can bend to 90. We do in fact get a rotation here at the bicep, double jointed elbows which can in fact bend slightly past 90, full wrist rotation, and of course a touch which is literally borderline masterpiece in my opinion, is that when you do decide to open the palm, of course the 5mm port is concealed, and then when you do close the fist, it is in fact revealed so that you can insert some of the additional accessories, which we'll take a look at in just a second. Surprisingly, we do in fact get a waist rotation on this guy. Considering how big and hefty he is, I was not expecting that on the original version, and it's great to see it carried over here to this release. The legs are on ratchet joints kicking forward, very heavy duty ratchet joints I may add, so these can kick roughly to 90. Of course they can kick back before they're slightly hindered here by the thruster. Sadly, only a hinge joint out to the side. It would have been awesome if we could have got ratchet joints here, but nevertheless we do in fact get a rotation here at the thigh, as well as a 90-degree bend also on a soft ratchet here at the knee. And finally for the foot, we do indeed get the signature War for Cybertron ankle rocker pivot. So overall, once again, in terms of articulation, Siege, or Shattered Glass Jetfire I should say, is absolutely phenomenal. For those of you who missed out on the original version, I would definitely recommend trying to track this one down, as he is in fact, at least in my opinion, opinion, maybe just a little better in terms of the colour variation. I think he's turned out great. So, turning to accessories, Jetfire comes with everything that you would expect from this guy. So we of course do get included one face mask, all of which has been painted really nicely. You can also see some fantastic sculpt work going on for the top. You can indeed insert this over the top of the face in order to almost create, I believe it's the Skyfire look, but this section is in fact almost spring-loaded, so it acts as a trapdoor, and when you do actually peg this over the top, it does lock that into place, really drastically altering the look of this guy, which I think is fantastic. You can see those awesome red piercing eyes actually sticking out from the green visor, which I think looks awesome. And then as we turn here to the chest piece, for this you are going to want to hinge these tabs out, and if we just bring that section in, this is indeed one of the largest accessories we get. You can see the paintwork really does look fantastic. Glossy purple, Autobot insignia, lime green, as well as some really nice gunmetal highlights. And as we just flip this here to the back, these two slots are in fact what are going to accommodate these two tabs. So just align this up, and you can see that much like the faceplate, once again really alters the appearance of this guy. We've now got this very thick blocky piece at the front, which I think looks fantastic. And then we turn it to some of the actual ammunition for him. So we do get included these two smaller missiles. You can see the sculpt work is pretty decent. The majority of these weapons are just cast out of black plastic, and these can be pegged here into the top of these ports, and then you can either leave them here from this position, or you can bring them forwards just like so. They do ratchet here at the top, and of course we do get included another one of these. So just peg this here into the back, rotate this forwards, and there you've got two of them attached to the wings. And then we do get a pair of larger blasters. Now these can in fact actually be removed, so if you wanted perhaps the missile or the rocket to eject, that is definitely a look you can do. But for these particular sections, I do like to turn my attention here to the back. You can either lock them here into these back ports, but what I personally like to do is just flip them around. You can see this 5mm port that does really nicely actually peg into this slot that we've got going on here. So just snap both of these here into the back, and once again you can see very different look for the character. And then we do also get included some forearm blasters. Now the sculpt work on these looks fantastic, much like the original version. These have been cast out of black, but we've got some nice silver gunmetal for the barrels, as well as this really glossy purple, and then these do just attach here onto the sides. So just snap that in there, and of course snap that in there. And one of the largest weapons that he includes is this really awesome double-barreled, almost Cybertronian shotgun. Now the attention to detail on this is honestly super impressive. On the original version it looked fantastic, and on this guy it once again looks awesome. You can see some nice metallic purple highlights, and it doesn't just end there. Not only can you have this act as a double-barreled weapon, but you can in fact actually split this here, take this handle, collapse this in, and then come here to this side and actually fold this incredibly stiff handle out. And there you've got two individual weapons for Jetfire to wield, but personally, I do like to just keep it connected as one. So just snap that in there, and it can be inserted into either of the figure's fists or any of the ports that are scattered throughout him. And that is essentially all of the main firepower that Jetfire has. But of course we need some blasts, so we do also get included two blast effects. These are the same as what we got from the original version, this time just cast out of blue, and they can be split into three individual components, of which you can scatter all the way throughout the guy. So you can of course have these inserted into any of the barrels that you so desire. So definitely this figure comes with quite a lot, a substantial amount, all of which really does help to aid this very different appearance that you can get if you do decide to attach them all onto the figure. And here for a very quick comparison, we've got the Shattered Glass Jetfire compared next to, of course, Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. And to be completely honest, I'd actually forgotten how large this figure is. He absolutely towers over pretty much all of the other War for Cybertron figures, the only characters of which are actually a rival for him are the Titan class, which is absolutely a massive scale. So definitely an incredible presence this figure has. I think that in regards to a total package, this figure definitely has it. He's got an awesome robot mode, really awesome alt mode, as well as of course comes with a great array of accessories, and truly is almost a masterpiece in the actual mainline. Super impressive. And I actually love how they've carried over some of the colours from Shattered Glass Prime into Jetfire, such as of course that lime green that we've got going on for the transparent plastic, and a few of the paint highlights, and that really awesome purple as well as black. So turning to transformation, we're actually going to start off firstly with the accessories. So you're going to want to take the chest piece, just flip this panel up, which will in fact actually reveal a cavity, of which you can take the face mask and actually conceal this here within, which I think is fantastic. So you can see that pegs in. Of course this trapdoor comes over and conceals that really nicely. We can then turn our attention here to the back. You're going to want to take this massive cannon that we saw earlier on in the review. Now you can see here we've got 4 pegs, so 2 here at the front and 2 at the back. These are going to peg into these slots here and here, so just align this up appropriately, snap that in there. We can then take the forearm blasters. Now you can see these tabs will in fact actually peg into these slots, and then at the same time you're actually going to want to get this tiny little tab inserted here into this slot. So it can be a little finicky, but just align that up appropriately and then shoot that into place. Of course come here to this side and repeat the same process. So just peg all of that in just like so. We can then turn our attention here to some of these weapons. So you're going to want to take these smaller blasters, and you can see how we do in fact get this cutout, which will slide into there. So just snap that there into place. Of course, come to this side and repeat the same process. So just peg that in there. We can then take these pieces, and depending on how you wish to orientate them, it's really up to your own personal preference. Sadly for me, this one does have a tendency to actually want to spring out, so we'll just set that there off to the side, take this and peg this in there, and that is the weapons ready for the jet mode. Then we turn to Jetfire himself. Now the transformation, surprisingly, is actually fairly straightforward considering his scale, but definitely incredibly intricate for a mainline release. So if we just spin our attention here to the back, you're just going to want to open up these wing panels. We can then take this section, fold this forwards, and then this panel underneath will then come over the top and will lock into place. You'll then want to repeat the same process on the opposite side, so just fold this panel forwards, take this one, snap that into place, and then essentially take both wings and pull them down until they do snap into place, and they'll actually lock in really, really securely. Spin your attention here to the front, take these torso pieces and just pull these up like so. We can then take this, ratchet this out, and then take this entire nose cone section, pull this forwards, and then just essentially completely extend all of this, lock that there into place, take these panels, shift them out of the way, and much like we actually saw when we inserted the mask into the figure, we also do in fact actually get a trapdoor here at the top. So this trapdoor will open, basically concealing the majority of the head. So lift that there all the way up. We can then turn our attention to these arms. So for this, you're going to want to pull the wrist forwards, take this panel here, fold this out, and then conceal that within. We can then come here at the elbow and just compress all of these ratchet joints into one another until we're left with something along the lines of this, and then you're going to want to take this panel and actually snap that down into place. We can then take this, bring this all the way in, and we do in fact get a slot there that this tab will peg into. So shift that down and just align that up until it snaps into place. Of course, repeat the exact same process here for the opposite side. So fold the wrist out, hinge this section out, snap that into place, come here to the elbow, just compress all of those joints in, snap that there, bring this down, rotate here, and then just align that peg and port up. And once that's complete, we can then take these sections, and we do in fact actually have a slot here that is going to peg into this tab. So shift this down until that does snap into place, and then we can just snap here at the top, come to this side. Of course, repeat the exact same process, so just snap all of that in. We can then turn our attention here to the feet. You're going to want to fold the heel spurs in, then fold the top of the toes over the top, and then these here for transformation do in fact actually lock. So you'll want to take this tab and click that in to both sides. We can then come to the inner section, detach this panel, rotate this here to the back, and you can see that this peg will in fact facilitate that port, so just snap that in there. Of course, come to this side and repeat the same process, collapse the knees in just like so. And then for some of the final touches, you're essentially just going to want to take this huge pack here, detach this from the back just like so. And one thing which is actually worth mentioning is that if you have some of the headmasters, you can indeed actually slot them here into these almost cockpit regions, which is actually a feature that I know not many people know about, so that is definitely a really nice touch. We can then shift this here all the way to the back, and of course you'll just want to shoot them pegs into the slots just like that, angle the wings out appropriately, flip here to the underside, and proceed to fold out the landing gear here at the base, and then here at the nose cone. And there you've got Shattered Glass Jetfire fully transformed up into his absolutely fantastic looking jet mode. Honestly, a superb job. Hasbro and Takara smashed it out of the park when they released this figure, and honestly, with this reissue, it's just as good, if not better now with the new colour scheme. You can see that in regards to an actual design, this looks fantastic. A massive looking jet, may I add, as well. I'll bring in some mainline figures for a comparison in just a second, and we'll have to do that anyway to show off some of the features, but you can see in regards to the cockpit, really, really nicely painted, loads of different silver as well as metallic highlights scattered throughout. I love the detailing going on here for the front. You can see we've also got some nice silver picking out this section, as well as that metallic purple. And much like this section, if you actually take the nose cone, pull this forwards, you can indeed open the cockpit and remove this almost modular section that we've got going on, which has actually been sculpted really, really nicely. It can be a little finicky to actually get out, but you're just going to want to pry this out, and there is indeed room for you to actually stick a headmaster in there if you wish to actually have Jetfire piloted. So that is really, really nice in my opinion. So just close all of that back up. You can see the attention to detail going on here for this top section, I think all of which has turned out super nicely. Some nice gunmetal, some nice silver highlights, really nice looking sculpt work, green transparent section here, which looks fantastic, and of course the wings have got that really nice silver strip going along the side. And as we actually turn it for a side perspective, you can see that considering how large he is, I actually think he conceals pretty nicely. Of course, there are some hollow gaps, and maybe if they could have brought Jetfire perhaps into the HasLab, then they would have been able to fix some of these. But for a mainline figure, which originally retailed for 75, this guy goes for 95, but we'll touch base more with pricing towards the end of the review. I think he was a fantastic release, really, really impressive. And if we actually bring out some of the accessories, of course, you can take here the weapons, and just peg that there onto the top and have him fully decked out, literally ready to obliterate the Decepticons, or in some cases the Autobots, depending on what he's feeling for that day. And to show you some of the features, if we just come here to the underside, you can in fact take these pieces, shoot them down, which will allow you to bring out some of these handles, which you can attach some of the mainline figures onto, and the same also applies here for these sections. So once again, if we bring in, let's say, Shattered Glass Optimus Prime, you can shoot the wrist in there and have him dangling on the underside of Jetfire, perhaps if Jetfire is carrying the Autobots into battle or the Decepticons. So that once again is a super, super nice feature. Honestly, the playability with this guy is literally endless. He's super, super fun, super awesome, and is by far one of the best modern day figures that we've gotten, at least in the past decade. So some final thoughts for the Transformers Shattered Glass Commander Class Jetfire. Overall, the figure is absolutely awesome. If you own the original version, you'll know exactly how great this particular mold truly is. I think in robot mode, he looks fantastic, great posability, really nice features, such as the reversible Autobot and Decepticon insignia. We've also got those palms, which when closed do in fact reveal the 5mm port, and then when opened are completely relaxed and look like a really nice clean sculpt. I also think that he has a ton of ratchet joints, which is super impressive. It would have been great if we could have got ratchet joints out to the sides for the hips, but that truly is just a minor critique. And in regards to accessories, he comes with a ton. Loads of different weapons, of course, the interchangeable face mask, we've got the chest unit, really, really great heaps, and we also do get, of course, get included those blast effects. And the transformation for a figure of this size is actually not that complex. You can get him converted, I'd say less than 90, maybe even 60 seconds, so definitely a very simplistic conversion, but it results in a great looking jet mode. You can see here, super impressive, super large, and it's got tons of playability. You can attach some of the other main lines to the underside of it, of course, attach some of those different accessories that we got included with this guy. But then we turn to Shattered Glass Jetfire's overall downfall, and that's the price point. Hasbro are in fact charging, I believe, an additional £20, at least here in the UK. I believe the original Jetfire retailed for about £75. This guy goes for 95, and when you add postage, that's £100 for a Commander class, and personally, I don't think it's worth it. Of course, I am aware that the Siege Jetfire now goes for astronomical prices on the aftermarket. It is a 2-year-old release, so this may in fact be the best and cheapest alternative to actually getting this mold in your collection. But for those of you who own the original version and are still keen to pick this up, I would definitely recommend to wait and see as to whether or not he goes on clearance. But considering he's a Pulse exclusive, maybe he's made in limited quantities, so maybe you don't want to wait. Honestly, it's just down to your own personal preference. Whether or not you guys believe the price point is justified really and truly will come down to how much you actually like the colour scheme. As mentioned, I think it's by far one of the best Shattered Glass repaints, and I am definitely glad to add him to the collection. I would love to know down in the comment section below on what you guys thought of both the figure and the review. Will you be adding him to your collection, or is he lower down in the list in regards to priorities for some of these Shattered Glass repaints? I thank you all for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.